fight. You got me feeling a fight. Like how could I not think of you?
I'm starting in the middle of a thought process, so be patient with me, but love is a big deal to me. It is a big deal. Is love not a big deal to you? Is it not something you feel really big when you love somebody? Is it not this big feeling? It's like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's not that deep. But it is. For me, it is. It is a big deal. And I'm not too much, and I'm not too sensitive, and I'm not making things more than they are. For me, it is that. It is what it is. And if you feel like I'm making things more than they are, maybe it's not enough to you. Perhaps that's not fair to say. Maybe it's not as much for you as it is for me. Maybe that's a more fair way to say it. Because we're not going to feel things the same way. The things that I feel big about, you may not feel big about. Or the big feelings that I have, you may not have big feelings like I do. And this isn't to say that one is better than the other, having big feelings or small feelings, being sensitive or not. It's not to say that one of these things is better than the other. I think each one carries its own set of strengths and weaknesses, to feel a lot or to feel very little. I think I've had the best of both worlds, where I'm just casually slipping Hanny Montana. Yes, of course, brain. Hanny Montana, you got it right. Casually slipping Hannah Montana into the conversation. Sorry, I'm just itchy. I'm itchy today. Freaking gosh. I asked B to come over. I was like, can you come over and scratch my legs until they bleed? And he said, yes, I'd love to. He gets me. What was I saying? Yes, I've had the best of both worlds when it comes to feeling too much or feeling too little. Growing up, I was very numb, as I've talked about before in previous episodes. Very numb to my feelings. Purposely trying to numb myself and dissociate from things because I felt things too much. It's ironic, isn't it? I felt too much, didn't know what to do with all the things that I felt. So I said, let's not feel anything at all. How about that? Let's get as close as possible to feeling nothing at all, because everything I'm feeling is absolutely overwhelming. No one is here to help me or guide me or help me understand these thoughts and understand these big feelings. I have no idea what's going on, what's happening to me. So my solution, given that nobody else was helping me find one, which is a fair thing to say. It's not me complaining. It's a fair thing to say when you're a child, an adolescent growing up, to feel completely unguided and lost. Maybe not completely, but to feel mostly unguided and lost when it comes to managing your own emotions. I feel like that's a fair thing to say. As an adult, it's different. As an adult, we are responsible for guiding ourselves, teaching ourselves, helping ourselves. But as children and adolescents, it wasn't our job to do that. Of course, we do figure out some things on our own. That's part of growing up. But to have role models, which would preferably be your parents or your guardians, to have adults in your life, in your life, I was going to say lives, to have adults in your life that help you understand your feelings, help you manage your emotions, teach you what to do when you experience feelings, whether big or small. I feel like we should have that. And if we lack that growing up, guess whose responsibility it becomes? Guess whose responsibility it becomes to teach you and guide you and help you learn how to manage yourself and your big emotions and your little emotions, all of it, everything in between. It becomes your responsibility. Oh, it's so fun, isn't it? Oh, it's so stinking fun. And parents aren't perfect. Caretakers aren't perfect. Adults in our lives aren't perfect. But for those of us that are kind of left in the dark, kind of kicked out in the cold, metaphorically speaking, when it comes to emotionally immature parents and caretakers and adults in our lives when we were growing up, and they didn't know how to manage themselves. They didn't know how to manage themselves, so they couldn't teach you. They couldn't teach me. They couldn't teach us. Which is, I'm not going to say it's fine. It sucks. But it also, for sake of accepting it, it's fine. It's not fine. It sucks. But for sake of accepting it, it's fine now. Because now I'm an adult. I've been an adult for a little while, and I've had to learn how to guide myself, manage myself, teach myself what to do with my emotions, big and small, and all the little bits in between. I'm a big feeler. I feel a lot of things very strongly. And I think I always have. But like I said, growing up, I had no idea what the fuck to do with all of it. No clue. Sorry, I was just checking the level of my mic. And as I got older, I began to understand that I'm going to have to learn how to manage these emotions, or else they're going to continue to overwhelm me. And I'm going to act out. I'm going to behave in ways. I'm going to behave in unregulated ways. I'm going to behave in a childlike sense. I'm going to behave as if I do not know how to manage my emotions because I was not taught how to manage my emotions. So I think it's fair for us to recognize as adults, I don't know how to manage my emotions. That's cool. And I think we should acknowledge that if that's the truth. Did that sound mean? I'm not trying to be mean, I promise. Coming from my own personal experience, that is what helped me. Just understanding that my unregulated state and not knowing how to regulate myself was not only affecting me in a poor way, it was affecting the people around me and the people that I interacted with. And I recognized that and understood that I had a part to play in that. I had a part to play in how I was affecting my environment. And I had to admit to myself, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I had to admit to myself, I don't know how to handle what I'm feeling. And that may seem like a debilitating thing and a weak thing to admit, that I don't know how to handle myself. That is a tough thing to admit. I don't know how to handle myself. When a feeling comes up, I don't know what to do with it. It makes you feel so helpless because it's your feeling, right? It's your feeling. It's you. It seems as if you should know what to do with it, right? But if you come from a place where you were either not taught, never taught at all, taught very little, had minimal guidance, minimal emotional guidance, or if you learned destructive coping mechanisms, harmful coping mechanisms as well due to the lack of guidance. There was no emotional compass, there was no map, there was no guidebook. I said book really funny there. I kind of liked it though. There were no instructions. And if there were, they weren't clear at all. Especially coming from a dysfunctional place, the instructions were never clear. It was very muddy. There was a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of back and forth, ups and downs, a lot of this is okay, now it's not okay. Oh, this is fine, now it's not fine. I'm happy, now I'm sad. Oh, I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at you. Oh, everything's fine, everything's not fine. It's the best day ever, it's the worst day ever. Sometimes you'd get in trouble for things that the next day wouldn't even get an eyelash batted at. I don't know why I said it like that. It sounded funny. But like, seriously. Sometimes you'd be loud and it would be fine. Sometimes you'd be loud and you'd get screamed at. Sometimes you would ask, hey, can I go hang out? Yeah, of course. Can I go hang out with this friend? Yes, of course. And then the next day, hey, can I go hang out with this friend? No. You have to stay home today. So if you grew up, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you grew up with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of uncertainty about how your environment was going to be, the inability, the lack of predictability that needs to exist, or rather the lack, not the lack of predictability, the predictability and the structure that needed to exist for you in your environment growing up was lacking or non-existent. So how the hell are you supposed to know what to do with all of these feelings and with yourself? How are you supposed to know how to handle yourself when all your life you were taught a very messy and muddy way to handle yourself? Nothing was ever clear. There wasn't enough clarity. There wasn't enough instruction, guidance. There wasn't enough structure, predictability. You couldn't rely on the people around you. You couldn't rely on your environment to bring you as much as a sense of safety as you deserved. As much as a sense of stability and regulation and comfort and ease and peace that you deserved. Those things were either strongly lacking or non-existent. So it's okay if you don't know how to handle yourself. If you don't know how to regulate things, how could you know? But even saying all that and knowing all that, it still feels quite debilitating and can make you feel helpless to not know what to do with yourself. But it's also a bit freeing in a way to admit, don't you think? To finally say, I don't really know what I'm doing, and there are probably lots of reasons for why I don't know what I'm doing. And not all of those things, not all of those reasons are my fault. And this isn't necessarily about placing blame on anybody. We do have to take accountability for things. Even as adults, even as I've learned, like, being an adult, I don't have to, I can acknowledge where my parents went wrong. I can blame them for some things, but I can't blame them for everything. I can perhaps blame my upbringing to a degree, but I can't. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't want to stay in a place, and I didn't want to stay in a place where I was only blaming those things forever and doing nothing about it. Does that make sense? To be in a place where I'm like, oh, well, I'm like this because of my upbringing. I'm like this because of my childhood. I'm like this because of my parents. And then ending it there. I didn't want to do that. There was a lot that I needed to process there to change the end of that from a period to a comma. Does that make sense? There's a lot for me to process in terms of ending it with, oh, well, it's my upbringing. It's how I was raised. I'm like this because of this, period. There was a lot I had to unpack there to be able to change that statement to, it's because of my upbringing, it's because of my childhood. I'm like this because of how I was raised, because of my parents. But now I get to decide. Now I get to figure things out. Now I am responsible for myself. And I may not know what the heck to do, especially in the very beginning, and even further into it. Even nowadays, I'm years into this after finally coming to terms with things. Unpacking a lot from growing up. Unpacking a lot from older versions of myself, from older pieces of my life. I'm pretty far along from when I first started doing that. And I still have days where I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what the heck's gonna happen. But I trust myself. That's the big difference. The big difference between feeling lost and uncertain and feeling like I don't know what I'm doing. The way I'd felt it before, I didn't trust myself. I didn't know how. So being in that state of mind of like, I don't know what to do, and I don't know what's going to happen. Being in that state of mind while not trusting myself was really difficult. But now, trusting myself when those things come up, it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know what's going to happen. But I do trust that I'll figure it out. I had this thought today while I was at work. It's a very busy day at work today. Very busy. My boss scheduled me for 8 days straight, and if you work in customer service, and if you work specifically in the fast food industry, you know that 8 days straight is not fun. My body hurts, my feet hurt, my mind is exhausted every day because it's just there's so much you have to do almost all of the time. I mean, there are your lulls and your slow moments, but it's just a lot of multitasking, a lot of doing a whole bunch of, so doing a little bit of everything. Excuse me. But I had these thoughts at work today. I think I was going to the bank at the end of the day. The last thing I needed to do before I was off. And I remember thinking, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Like I said, my body hurts. My mind is tired. But I'm happy. And I was thinking, it's two completely different feelings. To be exhausted, to be run down, and to be unhappy with your life, than it is to be exhausted, to be run down, and still be happy about your life. Does that make sense? It's like, yeah, I may be exhausted. I may get angry, I may get sad, I may get lonely. But I love my life. I'm happy with my life. And then comparing that to, I'm exhausted, and I'm angry, and I'm sad, and I hate my life. Two very different feelings there. Same components involved, but two very different outlooks. And again, I've had best of both worlds. But yeah, even though today was busy and exhausting, it was a good day anyway. And even when the day is not good, I'm still happy to be alive. And that may sound cheesy, but it's true. I'm still happy that I get to experience life. Regardless of whether or not I have a good or bad day, regardless of whether or not I wake up sad or angry or lonely or calm, at peace, stubborn, don't want to get out of bed and go to work. That's usually it, at least for the first 5 or 10 minutes. I'm like, God, I have to go to work again. I have to get out of bed again. And then I get out of bed. And I brush my teeth and I make my bed. And I grab breakfast if I can. And I get ready for work. I say, all right. I say goodbye to my cat. And I hug her and kiss her. And I tell her I love her. And I tell her I'll be back after work. And I turn off my string lights. And I turn off my fan. And I leave my salt lamp on. I walk to my car and I plug my phone in and I listen to my music on the 10 to 12 minute drive that I have to work. Sometimes I just sit in silence or I talk to myself on the way there. And then I go to work. And I make the best of it. Even if I'm not awake for the first 2 hours of my shift, I'm there. And I'm alive. And I'm living another day. And then I get to come home to my cozy little apartment with my string lights and my sunset lamp and my candle and my salt lamp and my shows and my snacks and my games and my friends and my cat and my bed. Oh. And I get to feel good that I got to live another day again. And I'll probably wake up the next day feeling grumpy and I gotta get up again, go to work. Same thing. But I'll still be happy to just have my life and to get to experience it for another day. And that's pretty darn cool. It's pretty darn cool. I'm supposed to be asleep right now. I have to be up at 3:30 in the morning. I'm going to be exhausted, but I have the next 2 days off after tomorrow, and I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping as much as I want to, and I'm going to do whatever the heck I want to do. Because like I said, tomorrow is my 8th day straight of working. I'm so ready for my 2 days off, and I cannot wait. I'm going to do whatever the heck I want to do. Probably going to go out dancing Thursday night. Hell yeah, because your girl loves to dance. And then I'm going to freaking play games and probably watch a movie. Maybe 2 movies. Might go crazy. And watch 2 movies. Might take a freaking bubble bath. What the fuck? I'm getting wild up in here. Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so ready. Yeah, life is good. Life is good. And I'm still figuring things out. I imagine I'll always be figuring things out. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to be happy that I'm alive while I'm figuring everything out. Because this shit is a big deal. It is a big deal to be alive right now. And I'm going to live it like it's a big deal. And I'm going to feel whatever it is I want to feel. And I'm going to feel it however my soul wants to feel it. Big, small, in between. I'm just here for the ride, baby. I'm just here for the ride. Okay. I do have to go to sleep now. I'm going to be darn exhausted, but I'm happy to have been here with you. And thank you for joining me for episode 37 of The Bedside Table. And I'll see you next time. Good night.